Hey Fae folk, welcome back. So for today's video, we're doing something a little bit different. We are talking about some Disney dolls, which is not something I do very frequently here on the channel, especially like in more recent times, because I'm not actively collecting the brand. If you haven't heard me talk about Disney before, I don't like not collect them for any hatred or anything like that. It's honestly just because I'm so extremely particular. If I think about my ideal Disney collection, I would want like one of each of the princesses, or at least one of each of the princesses that like I feel strongly about, like the princesses that I enjoy, I suppose you could say. But I want them in their most idealized version, and I feel like almost every doll I see from Disney has something that just doesn't fit quite right for me. Usually it's like a quality issue. That's just how things are. But then also beyond that, if I want to have this lineup of like my Disney princess collection, I would want them to all look sort of like they go together. So for example, I might have like the most ideal Belle doll from like 2020, but the most ideal Ariel doll is from like 2000, and they just look weird together on my shelf. At least for me. Obviously, not everyone feels that way, and that's fine. Like, if you are chill with that aesthetic, I just feel like I'm too particular to achieve being a Disney collector in the way that I would want to. And basically, just the thought of collecting Disney makes me way more stressed out than it makes me excited. So I don't collect Disney. That being said, Mattel is coming out with the Sparkling Princess series. There are 5 dolls in this series so far. They are, as the name suggests, all Disney princesses. And while I am going to be holding fast and I'm not going to be collecting Disney dolls, my God, do these have me slightly reconsidering that position. I think these are so fun, so I just wanted to talk about them and give you my opinions. They're just my opinions. If you disagree, it's chill. Just be nice about it in the comments down below. If you have fun with this, if you could like, comment, subscribe, or hype, all super duper helpful to me. Without further ado, let's jump on in. Starting off with my favorite, we're gonna go favorite to least favorite because I don't feel like doing a build up. I just want to talk about the dolls I like. So my first favorite doll from this collection is Ariel. I just love her. I know there has been some discourse online about the fact that she is in her like mermaid form, and some people were hoping for the dress, some people were hoping for a mermaid. I think in a situation like this where you have a character that has such a big transformation like that, that has such like distinct looks, you're always going to disappoint somebody, right? Like there are always going to be people who want the mermaid who are going to be disappointed if they get a dress, and there are always going to be people who want the dress who are going to be disappointed if they get the mermaid. So like I do understand if some people are like disappointed about this. That being said, I always prefer Ariel in her mermaid form, so I was super duper hype that they did decide to like stick with this for her. I feel like her face is cute. Mattel does really good face sculpts most of the time, so that's not a huge surprise. The flower in her hair I do think is a really nice touch, just to like break it up and give her another little accessory. The top I think has also been somewhat contentious. To just start off with the little like arm cuff thingies that like sort of remind me of jellyfish. Definitely not screen accurate. Personally, I think they're cute. I mean, if they're going with the like mermaid form of Ariel, it's definitely a little bit more simplistic than any sort of dress might be. So I kind of appreciate that they were trying to do something to make it more visually interesting, but I also like the fact that they're definitely removable. Like if you want this to be more screen accurate and you want her to just have the seashell bra, it's not like you have to even cut anything to make that happen. Like you can just slip them off. So like I like that they're there, and I also like the fact that if people don't like it, it's super easy for them to just not be displayed on the stall. When it comes to the seashell top itself, though, I love that this is plastic, which I know sounds insane, but here's the thing, is it doesn't appear to be molded on plastic. It looks like a separate plastic piece. And it sucks because in the doll world, I feel like plastic is so often used as a way to cut corners and to like have something be a little bit more budget, like a little bit more easily mass produced. So I think we associate plastic accessories and especially plastic tops and especially plastic tops from Mattel with poor quality or with it being like a bad design choice. And that is fair, again, especially from Mattel, because most of the time when Mattel does plastic tops, they're like producing really shitty Barbies. So like I can understand the inherent dislike for plastic tops or even just plastic in general, like thinking about like Monster High dolls. Some Monster High dolls use plastic accessories in a very effective way, and some it's just like, oh my God, that's so much plastic on this doll. So basically, I understand the inherent reservations that people have about a piece of a doll, especially something that is technically a piece of clothing, being made out of plastic. However, shells are hard. Like Ariel wears a seashell bra in the movie when she's in her mermaid form, and shells are certainly just in terms of texture, closer to plastic than they are to fabric. And I think that a lot of fabric seashell bra tops on doll scale can look like a little bit goofy. Definitely, there have been ones that are really, really pretty. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I understand why plastic kind of always elicits almost like a panic response. Is a little bit dramatic, but y'all know what I mean. Like it elicits this, oh my God, this is bad quality. Sometimes plastic is, in fact, the right material for something. And in my personal opinion, the plastic is the right material for this top, specifically the way that they've done it, where it is not molded on, because that way I feel like it just feels more accurate to the seashell bra and like the inherent structure that turning shells into a shirt would give it, without it being something that's stuck to her skin that you can't change. I just really genuinely think that it looks good. I don't know what to tell you. And then when we come to the tail, again, I think this is just a fabulous tail. Ariel has had so many good tails and so many bad tails throughout the years. And this one I really, really enjoy. I like the fact that it is like, a solid plastic underneath with these holographic little scales like added on top. I just think it adds a really, really nice dimension and a really nice shimmer. And it feels sort of believable to me as fish scales without it looking too ridiculous, because the colors are quite close. It's not like she's got like a really dark background with like some like super, super light scales or vice versa. Like I definitely have seen tails that are like that are a lot more dramatic, and it just makes it look a little bit more artificial. Whereas this, I mean, obviously it's a princess, she's sparkly, like it's not, she's a mermaid, it's not real, but it feels a little bit more believable as like fish scales versus just, hey, here's some sequins sewn on, if that makes any sense. And then the fins and everything, she's got like some ruffles at her like hip to indicate the fins that she has in the movie. And then the tail fins, there are some portions that are like the sheer fabric, and then we have this shinier, more like opaque fabric that looks like it's double layered. I just think this is really solid. I think that her fins look really, again, like I feel like realistic is an insane word to use while I'm talking about a mermaid doll because like dolls aren't real people and mermaids, listen, most people would say mermaids aren't real. I'm holding out hope. Anyway, I just think that it feels very believable and it comes across as very well designed. And I think this Ariel looks stunning. That's really it. I could have just said that instead of talking for so long. Next up, my second favorite is Jasmine, and I think she is just so fascinating. This whole line, especially I would say like the Cinderella, has made a lot of waves for being like very, very screen accurate. But I think you can make that argument honestly for most of the line. Like the Ariel that we just looked at did have the addition of the little like arm thingies, but you can take those off. Like I think the rest of her is extremely screen accurate. And then the other two that we're going to talk about, Belle and Rapunzel, also I think are pretty darn screen accurate, especially when you compare it to other Playline dolls. These are, I don't think I've said yet, 30-ish dollars US, which definitely is on like the higher end of Playline, but I don't know, to my mind, when you compare it to other Playline Disney dolls, I definitely think they look more worth it. I'm not going to go so far as to say I think they look worth it, but when you look at the other things available, I definitely think that they're a lot better. And when you look at the other things available, the rest of this line, sans Jasmine, is so much more screen accurate to the films that they are like pulling from that it's crazy to me. Like most Playline Disney dolls just don't end up looking that screen accurate to me. Like I just don't think that they end up looking quite right. Whereas these dolls definitely feel a lot more representative of how the characters look on screen, except for Jasmine. Jasmine is so decidedly different because, unlike Ariel, she hasn't just gotten like a little accessory that's kind of added in there that you can take off. Her whole outfit has these add ons that are sewn into it and printed onto it that are not movie accurate. And even with that being said, I think she's incredible. It's just fascinating to me, and I just wanted to bring it up because amongst the line of more screen accurate looking characters, I think it's really fascinating that they chose to change Jasmine, but I really do think that they have done a lot for her. I think she looks really, really pretty. Once again, the face is fabulous. The accessories, like as far as her jewelry and everything, all looks good in my opinion. I think that the hair looks pretty nice. Jasmine does have like a super, super, super voluminous hairstyle, which I do think can sort of be hard to translate on a doll without it looking a little bit goofy. And I do think that this is a reasonable translation, but her clothes are like almost completely different. Obviously, you can see that she has the same sort of silhouette and like similar colors and everything. So she's not entirely inaccurate to her screen representation, but we have some tassels sewn on to the bottom edge of her top, and then the top and the pants both have prints added onto them. The pants print, especially, is so, so pretty to me. I don't know. I can't explain it. I just think it's so fascinating because she stands out so much. And like, she is out of all of these, like, if you have to pick one that is the least screen accurate, I feel like you have to pick Jasmine. But it doesn't bother me, which normally, like, I don't mind when Disney does stuff that's like inspired and it's very clearly not supposed to be screen accurate. But when something is supposed to be screen accurate, normally it bothers me when it's not. I hope that that sentiment sort of makes sense. But for some reason with Jasmine, it just feels correct. I just think she looks really cool and like really extra. And I don't know, it just looks like they gave her like a little bit of extra attention. And I feel like she turned out so pretty. So I can't really explain my own thought process. I just wanted to note that because I thought it was super fascinating, but I think she's gorgeous. It is with a very heavy heart that I have to say that my favorite princess that exists, Rapunzel, is only my third favorite from the lineup. Like, I love and relate to this character so, so much. And, like, I don't think she's terrible. I just definitely don't think that she's fabulous. I think the flower in her hair is really nice. The dress does seem okay, although I will say that the corsetting detail is, like, printed on and I don't know, that's like a little bit iffy for me, but outside of that, I do think that the dress is really, really nice. I like that they kept her barefoot because that's how she is in the movie. I know like some people want all their dolls to have shoes anyway, but I like that she gets to be barefoot and wild and free, okay? The hair looks like it's nice and long. It looks like about the end of her dress, so like roughly to her ankles, which I mean, like, obviously is not accurate to movie Rapunzel, but like for a doll that has to exist physically in the world and be practical, that's like as long as I want her hair to be. For like collector dolls, I think slightly longer is fun, but for like a playline doll, I think that this is a perfectly acceptable length. Where they have lost me is her face. And it's not even that it's an ugly face. Like, I do think that it's a perfectly sweet face, and it feels like the echoes of Rapunzel, but it doesn't necessarily feel like Rapunzel. Does that make sense? Like it just doesn't feel quite right to me. And I find this so, so interesting because bearing in mind that I'm not like a sculptor, like with my hands or 3D modeling or anything, like in any capacity, I'm not a sculptor, I'm not an animator. Like I don't have expertise in this industry, is what I'm trying to say. But I feel like it should be so much harder to take a 2D princess like Ariel that was originally drawn and animated in 2D animation and then transfer that into a 3D face mold. Like I feel like that should be harder because you're adding a third dimension in that doesn't exist in the movie. So it's like you kind of have to make it look like her without it looking weird that you've translated it from this 2D space to this 3D space. Rapunzel was animated in 3D animation. Like they have a 3D 360 like all the way around rendering of her head and of her face anyway. And so I find it so fascinating that it feels like she has a face that has historically been sort of hard for dolls to pin down because again like maybe I'm just completely wrong, maybe I'm crazy for thinking this. Y'all will have to let me know in the comments if like my train of thought makes sense here, but it just seems to me that it should be so much easier to take the like 3D model of Rapunzel's face and be like, okay, now let's put that into a 3D doll head than it should be to take Ariel's 2D face and turn it into a 3D doll head. And yet, for some reason, Ariel almost always looks like Ariel in her dolls. But I feel like I have yet to see a Rapunzel doll that looks exactly how she should. And it's honestly just so interesting to me, like in the least mean way possible. It's so interesting to me how we just can't get there when I'm like, there's a file that has her head in it. Like, it should be so easy. And I'm just so baffled by how she just never looks quite right. She definitely doesn't look ugly. And like, I love her by the virtue of her being Rapunzel. But I am a little bit disappointed in the face sculpt. Like, all of the other face sculpts in this line, I think, are incredible. And as I said earlier in the video, Mattel, like, really truly excels in face sculpts. But for some reason, this one is it's just not quite hitting for me. Belle is my fourth favorite from this lineup. And listen, here's the thing about Belle. The problem is literally always her dress. Like, her face on this doll looks good. Her hair looks good. I think that the top, like, bust portion of the dress is perfectly fine. She does have the little mitten gloves, which personally I'm against because I just think that they look ridiculous. And like I know I know I'm in the minority there because the alternative really and truly is basically just to have the hands and like the forearms be painted. And I know that that's not what most people prefer. That's what I would prefer. But like I know I'm kind of the crazy one there. So I can forgive the mitten gloves because obviously like to make actual gloves for doll hands is like that would be so unbelievably difficult, and that is something we would absolutely never see at a playline level, and personally I don't think we would ever see from Mattel. That's not the point. It's always the bottom of this dress that literally no one can get right, and it drives me up a wall. Belle is also a princess that I really, really do enjoy. And I'm just like, please, can we please just let her have her dress just once? I just once need her to have her skirt look okay. I do think this is a lot closer than most Belle dolls get. Like most skirts on Belle dolls look just to me horrible. I do think that this is a lot closer to what I would want. So we're going to address it in two layers because obviously there is this top layer that is this like sheer, my brain wants to say organza, but I don't know that that's true. And then it has ribbon at the bottom. That looks correct. That looks more accurate than a lot of other elements that I feel like we see in Belle's skirts. I like the ruching that it has. I like the like drapery that it has, the volume, the bubbling. Like I think all of that looks quite solid. It's not perfectly movie accurate, but I do think it is really, really, really good. And then the underlayer, so like that pokes out, that forms the bottom half, just ruins it. And it's not even by virtue of it not being the same material. I think that that's fine. Like that doesn't necessarily bother me to have that difference in material where one has like extra layers and is more ruched, and then like the bottom part is like a little bit more solid and has one or two fewer layers in there. I can't tell exactly how many layers of like the ruched sheer fabric that we have. It's the volume. The volume is the issue. Case in point, here is like a little like I'm not even going to say edit. Just I just drew two red lines where the underlayer would need to poke out for this to not look absolutely ridiculous. And then here, even worse edit here. I'm listen, I just my hands are not working right now, so I couldn't do like a even semi decent edit for this. I literally just like colored this in on my phone. But it'll give you like an idea of where this could end, like how this fabric could be wider at the bottom, like the underlayer could fill out. And so it wouldn't look so silly. I think at that point, this would honestly look unbelievable and would be like one of the best Belle dresses that we have ever gotten at a playline level. But it's just the fact that they didn't do that. The underlayer is not voluminous enough, especially where it pokes out from the ruched layer. So you just end up with this weird, like, jagged edge where instead of the dress flowing together and all like having a nice silhouette, it's just like, brant, brant, brant. Like it just ends up looking bizarre. And it's really frustrating to me because I feel like they were so close with this one. They just needed to let the bottom layer have some more volume to fill that out so it didn't look so disjointed. And then lastly, my least favorite of the line is Cinderella. That is not because I think that this is a bad doll. Just to clarify, I actually think that this is a very good doll. I think all of these dolls are good. Like I'm making my complaints as we go through because that's what I do is I critique and I nitpick. But I do think all of these dolls are good. So I think Cinderella is good. A lot of why she's at the bottom is just like I really don't have any feelings about Cinderella. Like I don't really care about the film. If you love it, that's fab. It's just it's not for me, and I didn't feel particularly drawn to her design ever. So like this is a personal ranking here. That being said, again, I genuinely do think this is a really solid doll, especially because as we were talking about a little bit with Jasmine, this is unbelievably screen accurate. Almost every Cinderella doll that we get is the like image that they've put forth since the movie came out, where Cinderella is wearing a very, very clearly blue ball gown and has aggressively blonde hair. Whereas in the movie, she's wearing a gown that is straight up silver and her hair is more of a strawberry blonde. This hair is like definitely fulfilling the strawberry blonde. Honestly, like it could be a tinge, like a tinge too red if you really want me to critique something, but like generally speaking, this is significantly more movie accurate hair color than we ever get to see. And the dress too. The dress definitely still has like a tinge of that blue. Like it's definitely not free from blue. It's definitely not purely this like silver white color, but this is so much more desaturated than we normally get on Cinderella dolls. And it is so much more screen accurate. And I think that the volume play with her skirt has been done so much more successfully than we saw with Belle. Like Belle's just looked jagged and sort of awkward. And honestly, like if I'm being mean, almost unfinished. But I do think that the way that Cinderella's volume looks, like the hip pieces are a little bit too much, like a little bit dramatic when you compare to like the movie, but they're not as bad, right? Like they still feel like they fit, and it feels like the rest of her skirt has enough volume for it to not look completely insane. So while this doll is not like for me in the sense that I'm just not a Cinderella person, even from like completely the outside, I think this is so cool to see a more movie accurate Cinderella, especially because the topic of her dress specifically and like her colors specifically and the way that that like ripple effects into the other Disney princesses is such a hot topic. If you have not ever delved into that rabbit hole, I would highly encourage you to check out Babbity Kate here on YouTube. And like she's so in depth with it, and she's like talked about this so many times it feels like it's like a whole rabbit hole. And I know that there is like a group of Disney fans who has been clamoring for a screen accurate Cinderella for so long, where she gets to have her strawberry blonde hair and her silver dress. And like, I have zero interest in buying this doll, but I'm so hyped that this exists for everyone who's been waiting for this. Like, I think this is so fun to see and so cool that we're finally getting a Cinderella that looks a little bit more like the actual original film did. But all of that being said, those are finally my thoughts. Again, I know I like did complain a decent amount for this video. I can't help it. Like that's just like I analyze things. That's just how I am. Y'all know this at this point, but I truly cannot reiterate enough how genuinely good I think this line is. Like I honestly feel like this is such a cool line to see, and I really hope that these sell well so that we can get a second wave in the future, because I believe these are all of the ones that are supposed to be coming out right now. But I feel like the internet is raving over these dolls. I feel like they're doing some really fun things. Like they feel movie accurate, but where they aren't movie accurate for the most part, I think that these dolls are looking really cool. I don't know. I just think that these are honestly, again, compared to other Disney Playline dolls that we have seen, such a breath of fresh air, and they look so nice. And I would love to get to see other princesses in this style and see how they'd be interpreted. I feel like the number one is Tiana. Like we have to have Tiana fit into this lineup, because I just feel like it would be so cool to see a playline doll of her that fits in so well like this, and that just feels like so much care has been given to her. Personally, as a Merida fan, I would love to see Merida, but I know literally no one else cares about her. I don't know. I think it'd be really cool to get to see a second wave of these, and I feel like it's reasonable to potentially hope for that, because again, I think that these seem to be going over well online. So I guess time will tell, but those are all my thoughts on the dolls that we have to look at for today. Definitely let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Who's your favorite? Who's your least favorite? Do you agree with my critiques? Do you think that I'm too picky? If so, you can say it. I know I am, but like, be gentle. I'm fragile. Anyway, this was a fun little like lighthearted one to kind of just get through and talk about some new dolls with you guys. So I hope it was as fun for you as it has been for me to record. But that is going to be it for today. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night, or whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.